Welcome in to Safety Blitz, starring the two-time Super Bowl champion Rodney Harrison, Jack Collinsworth. We got to start with Sunday Night Football. The Washington football team, the Philadelphia Eagles, that we just witnessed what tanking looks like in the NFL. What were your thoughts, Rodney, as that fourth quarter played out last night?
I was sick. I couldn't believe, first and foremost, that he took Jalen Hurts out. And I was so disappointed. I said, you're putting in the third-string quarterback, and you haven't even really seen enough from your second-string quarterback, who's your first-string quarterback. I was really disappointed. But I got to tell you this. I lost a lot of respect for Doug Peterson because as a former player, he would absolutely never quit. And you mean to tell me now that you're a head coach, you're quitting? I mean, it's you talk about a fractured relationship between him and Carson Wentz. What about a fractured relationship between him and Jalen Hurts? Jalen Hurts is a dog, and he wants to do whatever he can to win a football game. And you, as the head coach, offensive coordinator, you basically pull him out and you freaking lose the game. You just purposely lose the game. And if I'm Jalen Hurts, I don't know how I look at Doug Peterson and respect him as a man, respect him as a coach. How can I just couldn't respect him. Jack, I just couldn't respect him, man. I was disappointed as a former player. I was mad. I was angry. And then I was sad. And I'm like, why won't they play? Let these guys play. I was just really disappointed, Jack. Sorry.
I think all of that's very fair. So after Sudfeld threw the first interception, it was an ugly pick. I mean, he just lofted it up. It was kind of a punt pick where you just throw it up, and it's pretty obvious from the second it left his hand it was going to be intercepted. You knew he was clear and obviously a backup quarterback at best. That's just what he is. That's what he's been his whole career. It's what he was when you put him in for that first drive. It's the fourth quarter of a game that you have every chance to go win. When I first got ticked off is when they put him back in the game. When they put him back in that second drive, the Eagles defense figures out a way to get an interception, force a turnover, give you a chance to go win the thing, and then you go back to Sudfeld. That is when I said Doug Peterson, one of the great fourth quarter coaches that upset the Patriots in the Super Bowl with Nick Foles when he had no chance to go do so, being so aggressive and all the things that he did in that game. For him to coach this fourth quarter this way, I'm not willing to say that he was totally going to lose it, but he made every tactical decision, every tactical move to make sure they didn't win this game. And I don't know why. I don't know if he just said, Ron Rivera and Alex Smith, with everything they've been through, I prefer them going to the playoffs over the Giants. Maybe that was his decision. Or maybe he just decided that he wanted to move up 3 picks in the draft. For me, either one is not suffice, especially not in prime time. Maybe 1 p.m. Sunday you get away with this in Week 17. In prime time, this is something that won't go away, in my opinion.
And he sits there, and the thing that makes it even worse, he sits there and he plays us as fans, as football guys that study this stuff every single day of our lives. And he plays us like we're complete idiots. And he's sitting there looking us in our eyes and saying that I'm trying to do everything I can to win this football game. He's lying. Like, how could you repeatedly lie to your players, lie to your staff? You're lying to us as fans. Like, maybe it's an organizational thing, and maybe they said, "Hey, Doug, we're going to take care of you. Make sure that you're still here, making your salary. You're going to be the head coach, but you take the blame for this." Because I can't see a general manager, an owner, allowing this to happen. I understand that it's the 9th pick compared to the 6th pick, but we're talking about college kids that never even played one single down in the National Football League, Jack. So how do we know how good this player is going to be? You're going to lose a game in the NFL based off of trying to go get a college guy? I just don't get it. And I just feel I'm angry at Doug Peterson. When I look at him, I know he's lying. It's 100% he's lying. And if I feel this way, imagine those guys that look at him every single day. All those guys that look at him every single day and say, you know what? We can't even trust our coach. We can't even trust our coach because he can't even tell us the truth. It's a shame.
You've been around this game forever. You're not believing what you're hearing. The whole city of Philadelphia is not believing what they're hearing. I'll never forget Jalen Hurts on the sideline shaking his head. There's a clip. It's just the camera shot so, close, tight on his mouth, and you see him go, this is just not right. This is just not right. So Hurts is not believing what he's hearing either. Let's hear from Coach. He's had a night to sleep on it now. So here was Doug Peterson today gathering his thoughts on what played out last night.
I was coaching to win. Yes, that was my decision solely. Nate has obviously been here for 4 years, and I felt that he deserved an opportunity to get some snaps. And listen, if there's anything out there that thinks that I was not trying to win the game, I mean, you know, Ertz is out there, Brandon Graham's out there, Darius Slay's out there. You know, all our top guys are still on the field at the end. So we were going to win the game.
My question to you then is, you know, why would you do that? Is this just for the draft picks, or is this something else that we're missing here?
Pretty simple. I wanted to get the plan this week was to get Nate some time, and I felt like it was the time to get him in the game.
Doug, now that you've had a night to sleep on it, I know you're a guy that respects the game very much. And last night, when you took out Jalen in a close game, I think you're aware that it sent a message kind of across the league. I think Eagles fans were upset about it, but I think football fans were upset about what it said. Can you speak to that now that you've slept on it a little bit about, you know, the message that maybe that sent and the perception that people had about the way that the game panned out?
You know, I've thought about that quite a bit, and you know, quite frankly, I look at the entire body of work. I look at the entire season, and it's definitely not the season that we all had anticipated. And you know, our offensive struggles have not been about, you know, one position group or one guy or, you know, whatever. It's been a multitude of issues that we've had, and again last night in that game, you know, we were in a situation where we failed to score as an offense. We failed to score there at the end of the third quarter. We were struggling just a little bit to move the ball. Defensively, they kept us in the game with a couple of takeaways late, and my plan was to get Nate in the game. Nate's a guy that is very capable of running our system and executing, and an opportunity to pull that game out last night. And
come on now, Nate Sudfeld is garbage. He's been there 4 years. He hasn't played, and you wait to as much as Carson Wentz has struggled throughout the year. Then you decide you had an opportunity to go to Nate when Carson Wentz was struggling. But then you decide to give Jalen Hurts an opportunity. He plays well, and then all of a sudden, the last game of the year, and it's a difference between a draft pick picking, you know, number 9 or number 6, you decide to play him. Come on, Doug. Come on, Peterson. Like that is such a bunch of garbage. And you sit here and talk to us like we're idiots, like we're just flat out idiots. I mean, your dad played for a long time. You grew up in football. Your whole life was about football. Same here with me. I've been playing football since I was 6 years old. We all watch tape. We share information. And we sit and look at both of these guys, and you can tell they're lying. I'm just sick, man. And Doug Peterson, just saying what he said a day after, like, are you kidding me? Come on, Doug. Stop with the BS.
This is a franchise that's showing every sign of moving on from their $100 million quarterback and Carson Wentz. They're showing every sign of that, and they're transitioning this thing to Hurts. And was Hurts perfect to start that game? No, he wasn't. But it was clear and obvious that his legs gave this offense an element that you weren't going to get from Sudfeld. He had 2 rushing touchdowns already in that game. And as you're going to sit down on Tuesday and evaluate the long-term prospects of your quarterback room, you needed that fourth quarter evaluation of Jalen Hurts to make a wise decision about which direction your entire franchise is headed. You needed that fourth quarter. So even bigger than moving up 3 slots, I felt like you hadn't seen enough on Hurts yet. There's just no way that the back half of this season, when they really fell out of the playoff push, was enough to get a full and clear evaluation on Hurts. And while he had struggled, you're going, is he going to bounce back and finish this game and go get a win and knock Washington out of the playoffs? And to be honest with you, even though they were down and they hadn't got that 4th down play that you referenced right before we came on, Rodney, it still felt like Hurts had a chance to go win this game. There's just something about the momentum and the feel and the everything. And to me, nobody rides and feels the momentum of a game quite like Doug Peterson. So for him to make that move and then double down on it and triple down on it again and just keep putting Sudfeld back in the game, You just left going, this is the most peculiar football game I've ever watched. It's the worst coached fourth quarter I've ever seen. And in all likelihood, it's probably, most clearly the first time I've ever thought that's what tanking looks like in the NFL. That's what it is. Quarterback is the most valuable position. It's the most valuable position. If you're going to put somebody out there that you know stinks, these are the results you know you're going to get, and that's the results they got.
And my question to you is this. If you're a free agent and Philadelphia has interest in you, would you think twice about going and signing with the Philadelphia Eagles?
I don't know that this one thing would be enough. If I'm being completely and totally honest with you, I don't know that this one move would be enough. But man, did it say a lot to me about how confident Doug Peterson is that he's going to keep his job. This sort of felt like a game he needed to win. Like he needed to go out, just get some momentum bump into the offseason. And if you're willing to just completely throw this for the benefit of draft picks, it says a lot about his confidence that he's going to be the head coach of the future, doesn't it? Would this be enough to deter you from being an Eagle?
If I'm a free agent and I saw what Doug Peterson did, think about it, because I still think like a football player. I'm 48 years old, but I still feel like I'm right there in the mix. There's no way. I don't care how much they paid me. I wouldn't go. I would go somewhere else because I'm a man of principle. Okay? It's not just about the dollars and cents. And if I can't look my coach in the eye and respect him, I don't want to play for him. And I played for the greatest to ever do it, Coach Belichick. And every day I could look at him in his eyes because I knew he was being honest. I knew that he was telling me the truth. I knew that I could trust him. And with Doug Peterson, I just can't say that. I cannot say that.
As bad as it was on the Philadelphia side, and it's about as bad of an ending of a season as I can remember, it was equally as incredible for the Washington football team, for Coach Rivera battling through cancer all season long and figuring out a way to get this team into the playoffs, for Alex Smith, who was sent packing by San Francisco, sent packing by Kansas City, finds his way to Washington, has one of the most gruesome injuries that you've ever seen in NFL history, comes back. He's like just really to prove to his kids that he could do it. That never quit mentality, gets back on the field and then takes this team somehow to the playoffs. We got to hear from the victors. Here were coach and quarterback after an incredible run to get this team into the playoffs.
All I care about is says division champs. It's just still alive. And that was every offseason when you get together as a team, the number one goal, the easiest way to get a ticket to the dance is win the division. And, it certainly wasn't looking likely there for a long time at the beginning of the year for us. And to be here now, though, like I said, I think says a lot about the character we got.
Don't judge us from where we've been, judge us from where we're going. So let's see how we handle this going forward. This is a big opportunity for us. I love what they said about just getting in. And that's all we needed was a chance to get in. We'll see what happens. We're going to play against a very good football team with, a lot of good football players. And so I'm excited about it.
Yeah, Jack, and you look at both those guys, they're so inspirational, everything that they've gone through. They don't complain. They don't expect anyone to feel sorry for them. I look at Alex Smith, and I went through a gruesome knee injury. I tore three out of four of my ligaments, and I had an issue in a hospital where I found out that, there was a possibility that my leg could be actually amputated. And I was going through a lot of pain. The swelling was really bad. The whole leg was like black. It was a very scary thing. So when those players look at Alex Smith and they see the type of rehab he went through with the type of attitude, the positive attitude that he had going through it, they're inspired. And they'll do anything for Alex Smith. And I think when you look at your head coach and he's battling cancer and he's humble, because Ron Rivera is a very humble, strong man, and you see Alex Smith, no matter how you feel during the day, you look at those two guys and you see what they had to go through, it motivates you and it pumps you up because they don't take anything for granted. They work their tails off to be where they're at and they stay positive with a great attitude. And I think that's a big reason why the Washington football team has had success this year is Ron Rivera and his guidance.
Rodney, how much different are those thoughts or those conversations with your family members, with your coaches, with anybody who maybe have an influence in your life when it is not only a football injury, something that could end your career, but something that could be life-altering, that you may not be able to play with your kids the same. You may not be able to just walk down the street the same. How much different is that conversation when you were going through it?
It's tough, man. It's a tough conversation, but you look at your wife and you have a conversation with her and you guys try to figure out what's best. And it was a point in time the following year in 2008, I tore my knee up and I looked at my wife and I just said, you know what, I'm done. I'm done. I can't go through this anymore, because you look at your family members, you look at your kids and wanting to be able to go and play catch with them and work out with them and go to their football games without walking with a limp or being pushed in a wheelchair. You weigh all those different things. So I just look at Alex Smith and everything, and people don't understand, like, how significant this injury was. Like, this dude could have lost his leg. And think about, the compromises he would have had to make with his children. So I'm just really happy that he's at a point now where he can play, he's healthy, he's positive, and I think he's going to play a lot better. Because you look at, and I'm just going to go football-wise, you look at Tampa. Tampa does a lot of blitzing. So, but Alex is really good with taking care of the football, although he, had a couple interceptions last week. A lot of quick passes, get the ball out of his hands quickly, so he can have success against this defense. It's not like, Alex Smith is a bum. Alex Smith has a lot of experience, and obviously he's not afraid.
The thing that's amazing to me is watching him still be able to have this success, just to be able to put together this playoff run, win the games they had to. When he used to be a mobile quarterback, he used to be somebody who could pull down and just go run for a handful of first downs per game, run and create more opportunities with his arm, and that's really eliminated from his game. Even really driving off of that back foot to put some extra sauce into a throw has kind of left his game a little bit, and he's dealing with the calf injury also. So to see him evolve, it's almost like a jump shooter or something when they have no speed left, no ability to get to the basket, and they can only shoot threes. He's just had to totally change what makes his game successful and still be able to succeed. So that, to me, is amazing to watch. Now, they didn't score a ton of points against Philly, and Philly is a bad defense. And so if you can't score a ton of points against Philly, is there reason to believe, Rodney, in your mind's eye, that they will be able to score against Tampa? Because Brady, this Bucs offense, they have never been hotter, and they may be one of the hottest offenses in the entire league as it currently sits.
Well, they do have Antonio Gibson, so the run game, has to be present. Terry McLaurin, hopefully he can play. Logan Thomas, the big tight end. So they have weapons on the offensive side. And remember, Alex Smith, he missed some time. So when he came back, that was almost like a, like a touch-up game. That's, and he turned the ball over a couple times. I guarantee you, against Tampa, he's going to take care of the football. They're going to run the football, and he'll play a lot better with a lot more confidence. So I'm looking forward to seeing Alex Smith and what he's capable of doing. But when you look at Tampa Bay, Mike Evans, the loss of Mike Evans is huge. I mean, to have a receiver 6'5", 230 that you could just throw the ball up. And trust me, I know Tom Brady, and Tom is sick right now. Yeah, Antonio Brown's doing great, but it's nothing like having a 6'5" wide receiver that you can throw the ball basically anywhere in his vicinity and he can go up and get it. I think that's a huge loss for Tampa Bay.
It is a huge loss. It's a huge loss in the size department especially. And we'll transition it right now to Tampa Bay and to this offense. And we had kind of been waiting on Antonio Brown to really make his mark. And it had felt like for a handful of weeks there that he was getting ready for an explosion. We've now seen sort of back-to-back explosions for him. And I always like to look at how his touchdowns came, how his big moments came in that game. And both of them were Tom Brady getting himself into trouble, scrambling around a little bit. And the first one, AB broke so hard to the side pylon in the end zone, the safety just fell down. He was trying to cover him. He just fell down. And the second touchdown was kind of the exact same thing. He ran a mesh route. He's lost in the pile in the middle of the field. Brady's in trouble, and he breaks right to the sideline. He finds him, and he's too fast. He turns the corner and goes and scores. And so that, to me, points to a chemistry that's starting to form between these two. Because remember, it's not their first year playing together. They at least got to build a little bit of that in New England. I really think we're seeing come to fruition now in Tampa what would have eventually came to fruition in New England. And you better be careful with Tampa Bay, because this is still the greatest quarterback of all time, the most experienced playoff quarterback of all time. And this is, in my opinion, the most weaponry, the best players that have surrounded him ever, and one of the best defenses that he's had around him too. I think this team is being slept on in a big way, and you may see them go make some serious damage come late playoff time, late January and into early February. And that'd be a Super Bowl home game for them too, Rod.
You just hit it, Jack. You said January, and Tom Brady in January, nobody does it better than him. Tom is a very competitive guy, And we haven't even talked about Ronald Jones being back. And you look at Antonio Brown. When you watch him on tape, I want you to go back and watch that game if you can, and watch how fast he looks. He looks like he's getting his legs up under him. He's in shape. He's and he's going to get more opportunities because of the kid that got hurt. I'm sorry,
Mike Evans.
Mike Evans. Yeah, because Mike Evans got hurt. Now I don't know if Mike Evans is going to play this weekend or not, but he's definitely going to get more opportunities, and he looks really, really good. Now you see him on these jet sweeps, and Tom is tossing him the ball, and he's throwing the ball down the field, and he's going in these short intermediate routes. So the entire playbook is open for Antonio Brown, and you see that he's playing with a lot of energy and excitement. He's bringing it, man.
Yeah, Evans day-to-day right now. For Chris Godwin, it's starting to feel like that there's that trust forming there too. It's like always, everybody always talked about New England, the triangle of trust for Tom Brady. I feel like we're starting to see the new triangle of trust down there in Tampa. And while Gronk can't quite run like he used to, he still demands the same kind of respect. You still see coverage move to Gronk, so he's still having the same effect on a game. Scotty Miller is somebody that Tom Brady has loved all year. You're seeing him slowly work back into this offense. So maybe it's not a triangle of trust anymore. This may be more like I don't even know, he's got 4 or 5 guys that he trusts going into January. And that's going to be an interesting thing to see. And no egos too, Rodney. It's like how can Antonio Brown and Chris Godwin and Gronk and all these guys, Mike Evans, Scotty Miller, how can all of these guys be having the kind of years that they are, getting hot right now, and you don't hear anything about any egos? There's one answer, and it's Tom Brady.
Absolutely. That's why you're my man right there, Tom Brady. And you knew Tom with his leadership. He was going to preach unselfishness. He was going to come in there and he was going to push those guys. He was going to be in a weight room by 5 a.m., getting those guys working out, being together, practicing, going over tape. That's what Tom Brady brings, and that's why he was so precious and he was so respected. Not just because he won Super Bowls, but it was the process, and we got a chance to see Tom Brady work. I would walk in the weight room 5:30 and 6 o'clock in the morning. He's up in there, full sweat. What's up? You late, Rodney? You're an hour late. What's up? Why you late? Then I come in the next day. It's 5:30 in the morning. Oh, still late, huh, Rodney? Still late. And then I walked up to him and said, hey, man, I'm not like you. I can't get up this early. I'm not coming to weight room 5 o'clock, so leave me alone. But that's just Tom. Tom's personality. He does such a wonderful job of trying to bring people together and just just win. He's just such a competitive guy. He asked me at the beginning of this year, he says, hey, man, do you believe in me? And I was like, yeah. And I didn't know what to really say, but yeah, I'd say, yeah, I believe in you. And he said, well, we're going to get it. But that's Tom Brady, the confidence that he brings, and you see it. I mean, that's the confidence that he exudes, and everyone's feeling it.
And I have a whole new respect through his mentorship, too, of Antonio Brown, a guy who had all kinds of struggles. For him to just put his arm around him, say, come live in my house. Anything you need, Antonio. And just kind of coach him up, mentor him up throughout the course of this year, and then go get him his $250K to finish it out. Just 3 little touch passes at the end of that game to make sure
that's what I was talking about.
$250,000 incentive. That is what great friends do, and that's what's happening right now in Tampa Bay. It's why they're on such a heater to end the season. Speaking of heaters, let's get to some running backs. We've covered the aerial attack. Let's get to the ground game. Derrick Henry, something we talked a lot about. He had to go 250-plus in order to go get this 2,000-yard mark on the season. Give us some context on what Derrick Henry has done this year. How hard is that?
Brother, let me tell you something. It's amazing for him, a guy like that, to get 2,000 yards, 250 yards in the last game. Typically in the last game, you're tired, you're worn down, and he looked fresh. He looked fresh like it was just the first month of the season, but it's very difficult to get 2,000 yards. That's why not many guys get 2,000 yards. Teams don't have the patience with these quarterbacks throwing the ball all over the field, and they won't commit to the run game. But the thing that no one's talking about with Derrick Henry and the Tennessee Titans is that offensive line. That they lost Jack Conklin, Taylor Lewan to free agency. Taylor Lewan got hurt, and they lost him. He's an all-pro tackle. He's an all-pro tackle, and they lose him, and they just keep going on. 2,000 yards. It's just amazing, but I got to give that offensive line a lot of credit because they've been terrific.
You have to, and I bet if you ask every single one of those offensive linemen, they would tell you how much they love blocking for Derrick Henry, because they did. They completely controlled that line of scrimmage yesterday. But when Derrick Henry gets into the linebackers and gets into the secondary, he is one of the great nightmares for any DB to try to make a play on. And that's why you see so many of these runs that would be 10 or 12 or 15-yard runs become 60 or become 80 or become 90-yard touchdown runs, because he gets there, and not only is he bigger than them, more powerful than them, stronger than them, he shocks them with his speed. He just shocks them with his speed. And they try to take an angle on him, and they try to go get him thinking he's going to be a power running back. And he's not just a power running back. And if you take even this much of a wrong angle, you're going to meet that stiff arm from the heavens, of which I know a lot about. And so he has all of these great tools that he works in. And he's a marathon runner, too. He played in every game this year, 16 games, 13 of those games, he went over 20 carries. That is how you go get 2,000 yards. He's a workhorse, a marathon runner, and a heck of a sprinter, too.
Yeah, and I tell you this, from a defensive standpoint, if I saw Derrick Henry coming at me, I would go and just go right at his knees. And we have a phrase that we use, chop the tree down, okay? I don't care how big the tree is. I don't care how big the guy is. If you hit him in his knee, and we always say big guys have skinny knees, because you know what I'm saying? They have skinny knees, and no one wants to be hit in their knee. So the problem with a lot of defenders, they go high. And this guy benches 400 pounds, so all he's going to do is throw you away. But if you go at his knees and you wrap him and you hold on for dear life and you twist and you turn and wait for your cavalry to come, you're going to get him down. And trust me, Derrick Henry is 6'3", 250. He doesn't want anybody coming at his knees. Stop trying to tackle him high. He's too big. He's too strong. And that's one way. You talked about the speed, and I think a lot of guys really underestimated speed. I think you were spot on with that. But the other thing is, chop the tree down, and you got to go at his knees.
That's a great point. And there was a moment in that game yesterday where J.J. Watt had just an arm tackle. You know, he's always chasing it from the backside. J.J. has the speed to come from the backside. If you don't get a hand on it, he'll make that play in the backfield. And he was perfectly in position to do so yesterday. And he put an arm around Derrick Henry. And I'll never forget the sight of Derrick acting like he wasn't even there. It was almost like he didn't even touch him. And J.J. Watt just falls, kind of gets slung onto the ground. That is the Derrick Henry difference, is that those little arm tackles are not enough to get him on the ground. And so you put the combination of everything he can do, and it's just a scary, scary sight. We had another running back go over 250, though. Indianapolis, Jonathan Taylor went off as well. Whose maybe performance was more impressive? What do you think about what Indy's putting together as we enter the playoff push?
Well, I love what Frank Wright is doing when he runs the football. You know, he has to run the football, and when he runs the football, they have success. You know, take the ball out of Phillip Rivers' hands and allow this guy. He is big, he's thick, he's 220-plus pounds, he runs a 4.3, and it just seems like the pro game, for whatever reason, is more, you know, accommodating to his game, to his style of play. I think he's been terrific this year. He's given him that solid foundation. Nyheim Hines is a great compliment to him. You see T.Y. Hilton, but Jonathan Taylor is the key, and that's Frank Wright. You have to run the ball. Give him the ball 25, 30 times. That's the way you're going to have a chance against the Buffalo Bills.
And the only player that graded higher than Jonathan Taylor yesterday was one Quentin Nelson, and probably rightfully so. He was in there moving mountains. Yep. One of my favorite things, too, about Big Q is, you know, he'll break this big. I mean, there's so many runs. If you watch that Indianapolis game yesterday where Jonathan Taylor's 15, 20 yards down the field without being touched yet. And my favorite part is to watch Quentin Nelson, who hits a perfect block, and he immediately starts sprinting down the field, just at full speed. That goes back to the Notre Dame days where he would say, I want to be first to the party, man. And there's nobody that parties like Quentin Nelson, I can promise you that. Okay, let's get it to Buffalo Bills. The Bills are smoking down the home stretch. My question for you is very simple, Rodney Harrison. Are they the single biggest contender as you look around the NFL to Kansas City based on the way that they play football and what this offense can do?
Absolutely. I mean, I look at the offense, and even more so than the offense collectively as a team, they're young, and this team is hungry. They want it. Mm-hmm. They play for one another. They love each other. They love Josh Allen. And Josh Allen is such a really good young leader, and it's genuine. It's not phony. When you watch him lead, you don't say, oh, this is a phony guy. His teammates sincerely love this guy, and I'm telling you, and I like the Bills, not just because of their offense. We know they can put up points, but because of their defense. Their defense is better compared to the first time they met. The safeties are really good. I think their secondary is legit. I like what the Bills are doing. Leslie Frazier, defensive coordinator, he's done a wonderful job. He's a lot more aggressive. He's blitzing. These guys are flying around. They're playing with a lot of confidence. And, yeah, I would say definitely the Buffalo Bills is probably the biggest threat to Kansas City.
I think they are right now, too. They've been a top 5 scoring defense since week 12, like you're saying. So they've just been getting better down the home stretch through the December stretch of this season. And Kansas City really has been going the opposite direction over that same period of time. Ever since that Denver game on Sunday Night Football, where everybody really thought that Kansas City would just blow Denver out, Vic Fangio had different plans. We haven't seen that Kansas City offense get back to dominating form yet. And for the Bills, it's been the opposite. I mean, if Josh Allen had put together this stretch the entire season, he probably would have been the MVP. He's probably the MVP of the second half of the year, if not for maybe Aaron Rodgers, who's been damn near perfect too. But you look at this Bills team.
Let me hold on, Jack.
It would be 10. Yeah, go ahead, Rodney.
Jack.
Yeah.
You look at Kansas City, and I've been in this situation where you win a Super Bowl and you give everything to win that Super Bowl. And then all of a sudden, you know, they're dealing with a pandemic. They're dealing with the fact that they can't spend time, and just like everybody else. And they're still 14-2, and people are complaining. Do you understand, like, how much energy? These guys are tired. And that's one of the reasons why Andy Reid rested his guys. He's got a break, but he rested them a week before the break. Why? Because they're tired. All the media obligations, just all the time, all the pounding, getting the very best from every single team that you're playing. These guys are tired. But I guarantee you in the playoffs, they're going to come out firing because they're going to be rested mentally, physically, and they're going to sit back and say, you know what, we're hungry again. A lot of times when you're in the mix and you know you're really good, sometimes you get bored with beating some of these teams. But they've gone on the road. They beat good teams. They beat good teams at home. I don't know what everybody else wants. It's hard trying to defend back-to-back championships. It's hard trying to win that second championship because you know everybody has studied you in the offseason. Everybody, they went out and drafted because of you, a certain way, defensive backs, defensive ends. And I just think that, you know, I think Kansas City is going to be okay. Don't worry about Kansas City. I do believe that Clyde Edwards-Helaire, that's a huge loss, and I do believe that it's a major drop-off from Le'Veon Bell to him. I thought that as soon as they signed Le'Veon Bell, I said, it's a major drop-off. I'm like, I would rather see Le'Veon Bell. I don't want to see Clyde Edwards-Helaire because he's tough, he's young, he's hungry, he's physical, and he's tough to find in the backfield. Excuse me.
Of course. I've always thought that being smaller is an advantage in football. People like to talk about it like it's a disadvantage. It's a leverage game, man. Best defensive player in the world is Aaron Donald for about 5 years running now. One of the smaller defensive linemen you'll find. But when you're talking about this Bills team, if it wasn't for that Fail Murray, you know, the Hail Murray in Week 10, this would have been 10 straight that they've won coming down the home stretch. But ever since that Week 10 game, I mean, nobody's come in with the possession as they've gone on this 6-game win streak with Buffalo. Nobody's even come within a possession of them. So not only is the defense playing great, the offense is extending these leads. And I also like the Sean McDermott strategy of I don't want to rest anybody. I want us going into the playoffs with a tailwind. Like, let's ride this momentum wave that we've been on. Why the heck would I go rest everybody and risk us getting out of this thing? And Brian Daboll is offensive coordinator since 2018. You got to think about how many times young quarterbacks just go through one offensive coordinator after another offensive coordinator. Maybe a new head coach comes in. It's a constant change of scenery for young quarterbacks because they're in these struggling franchises. And I think the ability to keep not only head coach but offensive coordinator and Brian Daboll in place has been such a huge key. And when you talk to Josh Allen, he'll tell you that has led to some of this comfort because he's now winning on time and he's also winning off schedule, which is all the God-given ability that he has.
Yeah, I know Brian Daboll is being considered for head coaching jobs, but sometimes it's best to sit where you're at as a coordinator. But I know if he gets an opportunity, he has to take it. But he's a good guy. He was with me in New England. He's a very smart guy, and he's done a wonderful job with Josh Allen. Really proud of both those guys.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.